Hello, everyone, and welcome to Indie Game Arcade, a podcast all about indie games and nothing else. In this episode, we're talking about Knock on the Coffin Lid and a whole bunch of horror games, including Crow Country, Dread Dawn, and Dead Season. I get those two mixed up, and I keep interchanging them. Anyway, my name's Chris.
I'm Joseph. They're very interchangeable names. It's like you could just combine them and be like Dread Dead Season or Dread Dawn Dead Season. Yeah. Dread Dawn : Dead Season. Like these are just I don't know. Like not the best names. Maybe the games are good. Who knows?
well, you silly. We'll get there.
Well, this is one of those occasions where I did not play either of the games that you're bringing to the table. So it'll be interesting to me. I'll be completely on the outside of it.
And I played all of the games. I played all four. So I'm ready. I'm prepared.
You played Knock on the Coffin Lid too? Okay,
I did.
Nice.
I played maybe, 40 minutes of it, but I played it.
Oh, so you didn't even finish like a run of it?
No. I only got to play, because I only was able to start it last night. I was so limited on time that I was only able to start a run and get maybe about 4 battles in before I had to go do dad stuff. And then I was too tired to do anything, and I just took my meds and went to sleep because dad stuff.
Yeah, some of the runs are long. Like I had one earlier today that was like an hour and 20 minutes. Like that's a movie.
I believe that based on what I see of that grid, it looks like they could be really, really long. But let's go ahead and start talking about that. Developed and published by Red Boon. For a quick description, investigate your own death. Find ways to break free from a time loop. Choose a hero who will ascend to the throne and rule the Northern Gate. The fates of whole nations of the land of Midian depend on your choices. So you obviously played way more of this game than I did. So I'm going to let you kind of take the reins here with this one.
Okay, yeah, I put about, I think 12 hours into it so far.
All right.
But it's also like I said, those runs take so long. That's the equivalent of maybe
8 runs.
10 or 11 runs, maybe. Yeah.
Sure.
This one is set in a grim fantasy world. It follows the journey of you, the resurrected warrior, Percival at first, but there are 3 playable characters, 2 of which you have to unlock later. When you come back to life, you're speaking with this mysterious guy named Mortis.
Not the WCW wrestler Mortis,
Unfortunately, not Canyon. Not Chris Canyon.
R.I.P.
Yeah, seriously. I loved Mortis, the wrestler.
I did too. Awesome. He was great.
I was literally just watching a video of him earlier today, so that is fresh on my mind. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, there's a good documentary about him.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the game. So Mortis is this mysterious guy who he says that he isn't solely responsible for bringing you back, that some of it's your hate and I guess anguish that brought you back.
Hot.
But it seems like he's got something, up his sleeve. He doesn't seem, I wouldn't trust him fully yet.
Definitely
Although,
not.
Yeah, he's one of those kind of guys. The main narrative involves dialogue between Percival and Mortis. Literally everything you do, every single place you go on the map after you finish it, there's a one-on-one talk with Mortis right after. And there's really good voice acting in this too.
Yeah.
So you're going to hear a lot of that. That, I think, also pads out the time a bit if you want to actually listen through those dialogues. And some of them are actually important and give you good clues to progress through the game. So I would recommend at least listening to some of them. The gameplay style is like a deck building, tactical, turn-based combat game. And it's got visually a feel of sort of a less stylized Darkest Dungeon. It's still kind of like a comic book-esque sort of appearance, but it's not as grim.
There was a game that came out several years ago that I played that the art style reminds me a little bit of it. I think it was called Sword Legacy Omen. And I feel like the illustration of the characters looks somewhat similar to that. But the character movements remind me of Slay the Spire, where it's the arms don't feel they don't look super connected in the way they, go up and down when they swing the sword.
Oh, yeah. So it's just kind of characters that are just connected, they'll have the skeletons for motion inside of them.
Yeah.
They kind of have that wonky kind of movement to them, but it doesn't really take away from the game at all. The combat is like strategy using cards to attack, defend, and manage like status effects and such. There's equipment that adds to it. There's armor sets, which I love. I'm a sucker for armor sets, and there are a ton of those in this game. So it's great when you're trying to collect those and kind of piece them together and get the bonuses from them. Random events and encounters. Although, like, the map's kind of laid out where once you visit an area, it kind of unlocks it for you and you see that area. But I think, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that it kind of mixes where everything is on the map to some degree every time you go into it. But I don't think a lot of the locations are kind of like, random locations once you visit them once. There are multiple options you have at each location to do something like, do I want to save this elf? Do I want to help this goblin? Do I want to do whatever? Or vice versa? Do I want to like betray this goblin or rob this merchant or whatever? So there's a lot of options here.
It seems like with a run, you have so much choice with games like Slay the Spire, which is the one I feel like in my mind I'm making the most comparison to. And also last week when I was talking about Rogue Waters, where you are making your path or whatever when you're trying to progress. And really, though, you're only seeing the possibility of maybe 3 paths to really go along if you're really looking at it under a microscope. This thing like has like a huge grid when at least the one that I saw. So it seems like depending on where you go, like it could be so different.
Yeah. You have like so many different paths you can take. There's usually, depending on the area you're in, there's at least 2 different stopping or 2 different bottom like spots you can go to fight the boss of the area. So that map you're on, I don't know if you got to the second one or not. There's 3 different maps on each run. So on all 3 of those maps have that same kind of very like expansive choice driven kind of appearance. So you have so many options you can go through. The paths aren't that long once you choose one, but it does encourage a lot of replayability because of that.
Got it.
But also, like at a certain point, there are quests that you will need to actually try and do, because I've beaten the game like probably 5 times now, or beaten the runs at least 5 times now. The first time you go through, it's like, okay, cool, I did this thing. What do I get for it? And then, of course, there's something after the boss, and you're like, oh, man. And then once you get your ass kicked by that thing, then it's like, okay, well, how can I possibly do this? And then it opens up a whole new branch of options where it's like, okay, now you have this quest. You need to find something to defeat this new challenge. And that's kind of what I'm stuck on now, because like there's so many different like options you have and different like, kind of things you can do. And so there's some mystery to it too. It's not like super straightforward, all of it. So it's like, okay, what do I need to do? So yeah, there's a lot here. And then also unlockable wise, so like I said, there's 3 characters. You start with just one, who's Percival. So I think I unlocked the second one by just completing the game for the first time.
Okay.
And I don't know how to unlock the third one. It doesn't tell me anywhere. So I think that's just going to probably happen after I beat this other boss, if I were to guess. And then there are multiple classes per character. I think there's at least 4. I've unlocked one of them. And in order to unlock the other ones, you have to kind of play the new class and level that class up some. Depending on the strategy you want to use, like that determines the kind of class you want to choose based on whatever character you are. So there's a lot here. I know I've said a lot, but and until you really like dive in and play it, will you really understand? But I think like it's so far I'm having a great time with it, obviously.
What's been your favorite out of the 2 characters? Which one do you like the most, and what class?
Well, so far I've only played it with the one character, Percival.
Okay.
Because I'm still trying to unlock his other classes. So the class I have, like his starting class, I don't remember what it's called, but his next class is Gold Digger. And that one literally like is about you collecting money and using that to your advantage and doing different things with it.
That's amazing.
But and then I actually, no, I just unlocked Knight because I leveled up Gold Digger to level 3. So I haven't used Knight yet, but what I've won most of the runs with is his first class. So it's totally doable with the starting class, because it just changes up the strategy of what cards you have and what you're trying to do with them. It doesn't necessarily mean one is better than the other just outright.
I do like, too, that you can basically have a companion that goes along with you, and that companion does different things, like provides buffs and stuff. And that happens automatically. Like, you don't have to make those decisions for that companion.
Depending on how you acquire the companion, through either dialogue choices or just like paying them or whatever, like they may or may not stick around with you. There was one time I had this dwarf companion, and then I reached this like death idol, and one of the options was like, sacrifice my health, sacrifice money, sacrifice my companion. And I was like, I'm going to sacrifice my companion. I just want to see what it does. And so I just sacrificed this poor dwarf to this like death fountain.
Oh,
it was really cool. But I honestly, I don't even know what it did for me.
I'm over here and you're just like, yeah, that was awesome. I don't know what it did, but I loved it. I'm glad I sacrificed this little guy.
There's like a, what is it called? Like a meter that determines like the good or bad things you do. I guess like kind of a light or dark things you do.
Oh, okay.
And throughout the run. So for instance, and I don't know if one is necessarily good or evil, or if it's just kind of your alignment. If you help the elves, then it's going to go more towards like the white side of it. If you help the dwarves, then it's going to go more towards the dark side of it. On the next map, if you help the goblins, then it's going to go towards the white side. If you help the orcs, then it goes more towards the dark side. So there's just like so many different things. I've not gotten it all the way to the end of either side yet, so I don't know what that actually does. But I don't know. There's a lot of really cool things you can do, and a lot of depth to it, obviously. Because every time like I say something, I'm like, oh yeah, and there's this, and there's this.
What I think is really interesting about it is like how the runs are kind of set up in the first place. And I mean that from the standpoint of the story, which is that it's basically like you just died. Mortis literally knocks on your coffin and resurrects you because you just show right back up in your coffin. And you come back to life. And from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, as you are doing battles and everything, and then you get that exchange where you see Mortis and Percival or whoever you're playing at the table having the conversation after each battle or whatever you do, it's them talking about what just happened as if like you are like each battle or something was a flashback. Is that correct?
Yes. And when you die, it basically takes you back in time to the point before you died. Yeah. So characters who you saw before on your run are not going to remember you, but you will remember them and kind of what happened in those situations. So you can kind of avoid things or even get new dialogue options sometimes or new choices because like you already know what's about to happen.
I really like that aspect of it. And I think that makes the story for me way more intriguing than I thought this was going to be at surface level.
Oh yeah. This one is definitely a more story driven type of, I guess, roguelike deck builder. But not at the sacrifice of gameplay. It's so in-depth gameplay-wise and has this amazing story on top of it. I read somewhere that it was like 5 years in the making or something, or 5 years in early access. So like there's a lot of polish to it and it shows.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I can get some time and carve it out to spend some more time playing this game because from what I've played of it so far, I really enjoy it. I'm someone that really, really likes Slay the Spire. I have it on Steam. I have it on my mobile device. I play it all the time. So this is like, to me, scratching that itch, but also taking that the extra mile and adding in so many more elements that make it more complex and adding a lot of story into it where it just makes it so much more intriguing from the perspective of someone that likes games with a lot of in-depth storytelling. So this is a really big win-win for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would definitely recommend this for people who are fans of deck building roguelike games or who enjoy like deep strategy and kind of a dark fantasy setting. Like this one is a pretty great game. The way that I was talking about Mortis speaking with you after each of the choices you make. There was one where I had unlocked this new like spot in one of the zones, and it was actually right in the first zone when I started. So it was flagged with like a crown on it, meaning it was like a quest item. So I went there thinking nothing of it. And it was just like really tough golem that just like two-shotted me. And I was like, how am I supposed to beat that? And then like when I got done with that, or no, right as I started that thing, Mortis was like, oh, so you want to die immediately. Okay. Like he's just like communicating with you like you made a bad choice here. Honestly, I still don't know how I'm supposed to beat that thing. So there's probably an item or something that I need to collect, but it's like at the start of the actual game. So I don't know how I can, because I can't go back to that. So I don't know. That's still a challenge I need to overcome, but I just thought it was funny that he's literally telling you like, okay, if you want to die immediately, sure. It's not somewhere I have to go ever, but I need to go there at some point because I need to get something from him for the main quest. But so it's just like how I just have to figure out how I can overcome him as the game begins, because I really am not sure yet.
You'll probably figure something out the more you play, and then, or at least like maybe you'll come up with some sort of tactic or combo of things that you're like, okay, the next time I get into this and start a run, like I'm going to go there and I think I know how to do it.
Yeah, it'll be something like that. But that's what I really like about it is like it helps you to strategize like what you actually need to do to overcome these challenges.
Yeah. Let's hop into our mini horror games that we won't spend as much time, I think, as we did on Knock on the Coffin Lid. But we do have multiple horror games to get to because it is spooky season. Our first one is Crow Country. This came out actually in May, I think, May 24th for PC and Xbox. And then it just released for PS4 and Switch on the 16th of October. This was developed and published by SFB Games. They also created Tangled Tower and Haunt the House. I do have both of those, though I haven't played Tangled Tower yet. I have played Haunt the House. It's a goofy little game and nothing at all like this game. Like the vibe is 100% different. So this is a real interesting departure. For a quick description, Crow Country is a survival horror intentionally designed to resemble early PlayStation games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill, in which players explore the defunct amusement park Crow Country to find objects, solve puzzles, and defeat monsters. The story of this is it's the year 1990. It's been 2 years since the mysterious disappearance of Edward Crow and the abrupt closure of his theme park, Crow Country. Special Agent Mara Forrest, who you are playing, is sent to investigate, but her presence stirs the evils within. This was one that you specifically wanted to bring to the table.
Yeah, I wanted to at least play the demo of it to see how it was, because it obviously has that very like OG Resident Evil feel to it and even look to it. It's got the PS1 graphics.
Yeah.
With sort of Final Fantasy VII characters to it. Like it's definitely like got the polygonal characters and that whole feel, and even like low poly sort of look to the environment.
What I think is really interesting about it too is just the atmosphere that they built for this game. I really feel is like what stands out. And I know that, you know, it still harkens back to some of those games like Resident Evil and Silent Hill. I've never played those games. I've literally only watched other people play them. So myself, I haven't experienced them. So I feel like I probably won't have the same amount of appreciation as someone that has played those games and loves those games. But as someone that just likes horror, I had a really good time playing this.
And the demo is relatively short too, unless I just accidentally like sped run to the point that I got to, but Okay. Like it's so it's one of those things where it's survival horror, so your ammo's limited, you're like finding med packs and trash cans and things like that, and you're just looking around for anything you can to kind of stock up to make sure that you can survive this. Monsters are not necessarily like everywhere, at least not in the starting zone. They really kind of start to populate it after you get through certain areas. But like nothing is like running at you as of yet. It's all kind of like sombering creepily as you're trying to do something. The gunplay, like the firing is almost exactly like it was in those games, which has like this feel to it of like you're really manually having to aim this sight that you have, and it's not like going to snap to your target. It's not easy to aim it necessarily. So that kind of, to me, I mean, it absolutely throws back to those games, but also adds to kind of the dread or suspense of it, because you're like, when this giant spider creature's walking towards you slowly, you're just trying to like, get your aim on him at all. It kind of feels like it would if you were the character kind of shaking around, just trying to make sure you've got the aim in the right spot. So it really adds to the suspense of it for me.
Especially when you got like the humanoid kind of baddies walking around.
Yeah.
Because it tells you in hints that you find in different clues and stuff hidden around the environment that you can do more damage if you like aim for the head. But because the aiming mechanic is kind of difficult, just because they are going with an aiming mechanic, like you said, that is very reminiscent of older games and doesn't snap to things. It isn't the most accurate. It is so hard to really, keep your sights on the head to get those headshots. So I felt like when I was encountering big enemies, I was pretty much using all my ammo just for one enemy to take him out. And then I'm like, crap, I got to run back to the car. I need more ammo.
Yeah, so there are some modern conveniences that do help set it apart and make it not as harsh as the other ones were. Like ammo-wise, like you were just saying, you can run back to your car at the beginning of the zone and restock on your ammo. So it's not like it's limited, you just have nothing left.
You might have to dodge a few things. So they at least
give you that.
To
sure,
there.
Yeah.
That big spindly guy, oh my goodness.
Oh, that scared me the first time I saw him because he snuck up on me.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. That piece of shit scared me so bad because I thought I was home free. I wasn't expecting anything. And then I get out there and then there's this big stick man. Oh my God, that scared the crap out of me.
I was like either typing something into a key code thing or I was unlocking a door with a key. I don't remember which, but I was in the middle of doing something and you just like, I see this big leg like behind me and just something walking up to me and I'm just freaking out trying to like finish typing the code so I can run away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it freaked me out when I first ran into him.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And I gotta say, for as low poly as this game is, because that's the aesthetic it's going for, they did a really good job of making it pretty scary. Like, I don't want to say that it was scary in the way a modern horror game sometimes is. Like, it's not terrifying or anything, but it's just you are constantly uneasy. And then things like that happen while you're on edge and they really throw you off guard and you panic. So it did a really good job of building that up.
Yeah. Once you really just invest yourself into that like environment and you start playing the game and becoming a part of it, that's when it really starts to be effective. Like the sound effects going on, the low rumbles you hear sometimes, the noises that you hear,
the noises
are just like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that is, but I know it's bad, and it's probably pretty close to me. Like the first time you go to the bathroom in there's like something in one of the stalls you can't even get to yet, and you're just like, what is that? You just hear it like rambling around.
I was freaked out when you like climb into the little house, and there's the big pit, and there's the crane that's in there.
Who knows what's down there?
Yeah, nothing happens at first, and you're like looking around at stuff, and then the chain from that crane that's like going down into this tunnel starts tugging and rattling. And dude, that got me so bad. I got so scared. Woo.
Not only that, but one of the things you're going to need to get eventually, we couldn't in the demo, is a chain to make the wheel on that work so you can like pull that chain up. So when it comes up, there's going to be something on the end of it. And that's like just like you said, the suspense of it is there without even seeing anything. You're using your imagination and it can be pretty terrifying.
The only thing, aside from the aim, because the aim bothered me just a little bit because I just wanted it to be, I wanted to feel more precise in my terror. because I was scared and I'm like, I need this thing to die quicker. The only other thing that bugged me, and this is just for this demo that we played, where is the freaking shotgun? Because I was picking up shotgun shells left and right, and there's no friggin' shotgun anywhere to be found. That would have been great. I had so many things to kill.
Yeah, I really didn't kill very much. I just kind of went around stuff most of the time.
Yeah,
because it
I
doesn't
didn't do
follow
that.
you into the next room.
I tried to kill everything, but they do move so slow most of the time that you can just kind of wander around them. But I was like, no, I need you to be dead.
In the starting area, you don't really need to kill it because it's going to respawn anyway. Some stuff is.
It's true.
So it's like there's really no point in wasting your ammo. That just goes to show like you don't have experience with games like that, because if you're wasting all your ammo on these like little enemies,
I'm scared. I need them to be dead. Using the barrels though is great, because then you can shoot a barrel next to them, blow them up, and that will take all of them out if they're close enough. Like they'll just die.
Or like shooting one of the electrical sockets in the wall will shock them. Yeah,
that's satisfying.
So there's plenty of ways around it, and you don't have to fight things initially. And actually, like that kind of takes me to the second mode that this has, which is like, was it like exploration mode or something, where you literally just get to explore around and I guess play the game without the monsters. But that to me would really take away from the experience.
That's something that I wouldn't mind doing after I beat the game. So just to see if there's like any other puzzles, things like that I missed, and I can explore the game in its entirety without the pressure of being interrupted or something. But it's one of those things where I would definitely want to get the full experience first and then be able to go back and play around or something. But I think it's really interesting and novel that they offer that.
I wish it had been an unlockable mode, like you said, after you're done with the game, because it just feels like you're robbing yourself of the experience if you start there.
Yeah, I agree.
Love the sound behind it.
Yes.
The visuals are great. Low poly intentionally, but it works for the experience they're trying to give you. And I think if you're a fan of like the original survival horror games like Resident Evil or Silent Hill, or you just have nostalgia for those PS1 era graphics, and I think you're really going to like this.
I absolutely recommend it. I think it's a great game.
From what we played of it so far.
Yeah.
I don't even know how long it is. I don't think it's very
probably
long,
not long,
though.
I wouldn't think.
Which is probably why the demo was so short. I'm going to say probably a 6 to 8 hour experience if I were to guess, but that should be plenty. And I think it'll be one of those things that you enjoy the entire way through.
Well, pivoting from a great game, let's talk about the first of 2 zombie games that I played. This is Dread Dawn, which both of these zombie game titles, like I feel like if I looked on IMDb, either of these names, I'll probably find a movie with the same title. But
you're probably going to find like 5 movies with these titles, and it's going to be like Dread Dawn, Roman numeral 1, Dread Dawn, Roman numeral 2, and they're going to be by different studios, different people, all independent. Yeah, so okay, so explain to me why this game is not good, because it looks really fun from the screenshots.
Yeah, I'll definitely explain. So this was developed and published by Keop. I don't know if maybe it's Keop, like the dude from Gatchaman. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
As a quick description, this is an open world. It's not really that open world. I don't know why they have that in there. It's a zombie survival game set in a quarantine city. You play as a student left behind due to missing the evacuation convoy, and together with classmates and other survivors, you must defend the school, survive, and await rescue. So really how this game functions is there's the school, which you've got like the boys' dorm, the girls' dorm, huge area, and it is surrounded and protected by a bunch of military. Your sister never came home the night before this quarantine went in place. You find out she got arrested. She's at the police station. You want to go find your sister. I'm going to explain more about that in a minute when I talk about what I dislike about this game. As an example, you have objectives and things like that you want to accomplish that takes you outside the quarantine zone where there are tons and tons and tons of zombies. So you're outrunning zombies, you're killing zombies, you're collecting materials to craft items and defensive weapons. As you fight zombies and complete objectives, you also level up so you can upgrade your character. You can also find items and gear that you can equip to your character, like certain shoes or something that make you run a little faster. That sounds cool so far, right? Where are you thinking? Does that sound good to you?
Sounds cool to me, and I'm actually looking at the reviews, which are generally positive.
Yes. Yeah.
It looks like.
I don't know why. I'm going to get into some of the problems that I had with it. Now, let me preface, though. I think the bones of this game are great. I think they could do some really, really good things with it. I think it needs a lot of work. It needs to be updated like crazy, and I think some stuff needs to be reworked. I'll explain why. It does not work with controllers, so it's got to be mouse and keyboard. Your mouse has to be pointing in the same direction as your WASD keys to attack or face that direction, right? So, like, if you want to attack left, you have to move your mouse left, and you also have to move left using your keys, which is a little weird. So, like, if you don't do that, your dude might do a little, like, moonwalk jig backwards, and not only does it look goofy, it's going to get you killed. You are given some quests, but a lot of them feel very pointless. So, like, the first slew of quests is you're trying to find your sister, so you go to the girls' dorm to find your sister. She's not there. And they tell you, hey, she got arrested. She's at the police station. So you're like, okay, I'm going to go to the police station. And then you run into a friend that says, I'm going to help you get to the police station. But first, we need to find my cousin. So you're like, okay, I'm going to go help him find his cousin. So you go to the cousin. The cousin's not there. And you got to find out where the cousin is. It's like, Jesus Christ, like every single thing you do is oops, princess is in another castle. So there's a lot of running around without accomplishing the things that you're meaning to accomplish. Getting around is not super easy because doorways are not obvious because of the way the game is built. So the best way I can describe it is because, Joseph, you are a DM and I'm a DM and we have used tools like Foundry. You know how that looks from like a top down. And when you have like the dynamic lighting and stuff in there, you can see like the light go through, right?
Yeah.
Picture an entire video game that's the only indication of where a door is. And then at night, that light is gone. So it's like you have no idea where those doors are unless you're being really, really cautious with a flashlight. And this is a huge map. Finding your way around places becomes pretty difficult. The thing that I had struggled with the most was not getting away from the zombies. It was getting to the zombies and like finding a way out of the quarantine areas so I can actually go do the things I wanted to do. The other big thing was a lot of times, a lot of the backgrounds didn't load in on time too. So you'd get to a new place and the background would take 30 to 60 seconds to actually show up. So you'd be just walking through literal sky. It was like blue and clouds. So you can't see anything around you. You can't see what you're bumping into. You're just walking through clouds and you have to seriously just wait until everything loads in for the environment. That happens constantly. Even like when you first load up the game too, it's just like, hey, if you want this to run at the correct frame rate, you need to change some settings. It's not really a good look.
I'm seeing a pretty consistent, I guess, commonality amongst the good reviews and the bad reviews.
Yeah.
The commonality I'm seeing, and I looked at yours too to make sure, is the people who are giving it a bad review have played about a little over an hour or less.
Sure.
The people who like it have played, about 25 plus hours.
Jeez.
So they really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
there's some in here with like 38 hours,
wow.
46 hours. It's like, man, there's some people who are super into it and some people who just, it's one of those things that seems like if you can get past the first hour, you're really going to like it. But if you can't stand it from the first hour, then it's just not for you. So it seems like a pretty polarizing game from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, it's like, I love the idea of it, but there were so many bugs as I was playing it that it was rough, man. If you want to see it, if you go to our Patreon, patreon.com/nerdsloth, there is a video of me playing it. You can see all of the jank, all of the crazy. I think if they address some of this stuff, then I think that this game could be good, and it would be a game I would want to play more of. Because the idea of this, I think, is really, really cool. So I know the devs are doing a lot of updates. And in fact, in the last week, I've seen 3 updates go live. At least like on my Steam Deck, I keep seeing the updates pop in.
Yeah, October 15th, there was an update. October 17th, there was an update. So yeah, it is being constantly fixed. So I guess I just want to push forward, and I haven't played this game, so I'm speaking completely from the outside, that these are our opinions, and I just don't want like people to not play this game and like kind of like take the thunder away from like Kiyup or whatever studio. Yeah. Like give it a chance if it sounds like it'd be interesting to you, because it seems like it's kind of a mixed bag from what I'm seeing.
What's interesting is when I first started playing it, the Steam reviews were mixed, and that was like I think 5 or 6 days ago, and now the Steam reviews are skewing like way more positive. So I don't know what changed there.
Well, it came out September 30th, so it's pretty new still.
Yeah, so it's interesting. But let's get into the last game, which is also another zombie game. This is Dead Season. This was developed by Snailbite, published by Iceberg Interactive. And for a quick description, guide a group of unprepared strangers in their struggle to survive a zombie apocalypse. In Dead Season, a turn-based tactics game. Strategize to endure against relentless undead hordes, but beware, noise attracts more danger. This game...
I do like turn-based tactics.
I know you do, and you like zombies. This game has mixed reviews, but this is where I'm like, how these need to be flip-flopped, bud, because this game's real fun. It's really fun.
Oh, okay, so you like this one.
This game's real cool. So let me explain this one a little bit. This one, like I said, this is turn-based tactics based on objectives, like getting your group of survivors into a certain building, clearing it of zombies, boarding up the doors, finding supplies, going to a certain safety point on the map so that you leave the map, etc. You can scavenge for items to heal yourself or for new weapons. Because it is turn-based tactics, everyone has like a fixed amount of moves, like AP, so you can either, move so many tiles, or you can move a couple tiles and attack. That's basically basic combat and movement of this game. At the top of each round, once all your survivors, and you have 4, once they've completed their limited amount of actions or combat, and the zombies do the same, more zombies will spawn every time. It is endless. The zombie spawning never stops. You will never kill all the zombies. So that puts a lot of pressure on you. It's really interesting. And on top of that, anything that makes noise, like if you have a character with a gun, there is a noise meter at the top of the screen with 2 bars. 1 bar, if it reaches all the way over, will add an extra zombie to like this ongoing counter, so that at the end of each round, when I talk about the zombies spawning, it'll add an extra one onto there, so that will keep building. The other noise bar, if that goes all the way up, induces rage on all the zombies, and it basically doubles their movement speed so they can get to you quicker. It also doubles their chance to attack. So most of the zombies, if they reach you, they can only do 1 attack. Now they can all do 2. So it's very much feels like a zombie film. If you get surrounded by too many of these guys, there's no way out of it. Like, you will get killed if you aren't careful with how you do everything. So to win, basically, once you complete all the objectives, sometimes it's just getting all your survivors to a certain point on the map. You survive the level, you move on to the next one, and it progresses this linear story. All your survivors have to survive. At least that has been my experience with the demo that I've been playing. They also have a chance to level up and gain different talents. My favorite is Cold-Blooded, and the reason I like that is because when you take damage from a zombie, your character experiences fear. And when they have fear on them, what that does is it makes your chance to hit go down. So that talent reduces that fear by like 33%. A lot of people have said that they think the hit chance is really, really poor already. I don't think it is. I think it's pretty fair. If all your guys are getting attacked and they all have fear on them, then yeah, you're going to miss a lot because everyone's all freaked out. So having that talent is kind of a lifesaver.
Yeah.
It looks really good. The sound effects are really scary. I also have a video of me playing this up on our Patreon too, but there's this one moment, for whatever reason, this ear-piercing shriek just rings out while like I'm doing this level in this city block. I have no idea where it came from, but it scared the bejesus out of me. And it was like just really well placed. And different things can happen during gameplay too. Like as I got towards the very end of this one map, it was just one of those like, I gotta get from A to B. And when I get to B, we're scot-free, we're out of here, we can move on to the next level. I was trying really hard not to get that noise meter up, but as I started getting up there, a zombie like fell off the top of a building, landed on a car, and set off the car alarm. So that like shot the noise meter up like manually, and then all the zombies got rage, and then more zombies kept going because that car alarm kept going off every round. And I was like maybe 4 rounds of combat or movement from getting to the end. So it was like right as I was getting to the end, all of a sudden the pressure ramped up like tenfold. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. And it got so much more desperate. That was so fun. I really, really liked that.
It sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, it is, man. I really, really liked it. I think that the gameplay felt really smart. There's so much strategy involved. There are a few things that I don't like about it. And I want to be really honest about those. I think the thing that sucks the most is in between levels, they do this thing that's like, they'll tell you it's like autonomous travel. Like your characters are moving for days on time from this point to this point, and resources get used or lost along the way. So you will randomly lose things, items or weapons that you have in between levels. And I think that sucks, especially if you just spent like in your last level or whatever round, if you spent like so much time trying to get to this one car to see if you could scavenge something out of it and you get this good weapon and you're like, oh, thank God I spent all that time. And just to lose it randomly before you get to your next destination, that feels like garbage.
Yeah, so that's like a random roll kind of thing?
Yeah, well, and you don't even see the roll. It just like you start the next level and it'll just show you what stuff is just gone out of your inventory. It'll just like cross it off and it disappears. Yeah, I think that sucks. I don't like that. Guns can jam and they got to be repaired to fire again. I mean, that's not that bad, but it does get a little obnoxious.
Do you have any control over the guns jamming, or is that random too?
That's random. It'll just happen.
Oh, I don't like that.
The other thing that I don't like is that, and I think I can deal with it, and they try to help it a little bit by giving you the option to fast forward a little. When it's the zombies' turn, you have to watch all of them take their turn, no matter like their proximity to you on the map. Like, to me, I would just, if I were building this game, right, I would show what's happening with all the zombies in your immediate field of vision and like move around whatever zombies that are still on the map, but don't let you see it because your characters can't see it. But it like your view pans to every zombie on the map and you see their movement. When there's a ton of zombies on that map, man, that takes a while. But they do let you like hold spacebar to like fast forward through that stuff so it speeds up. But I don't think it speeds up fast enough, man, because sometimes it feels like you're waiting a bit.
I agree with you about like the ones that are in your immediate field of vision, you should be able to see. But if your characters can't see them, like you shouldn't be able to watch them because that kind of, I get that like maybe there's some strategy that you want to set up to that, but I don't think you should be able to. Like if you can't see them, you can't see them.
Exactly. I think that slows down the gameplay a bit. And I think it is to the point of letting you be able to plan tactically because like you can kind of see through buildings and stuff. They let you on your turn, you can move your field of vision all around the map. You can see into the buildings. You can see how many zombies are in there, where they are. so that you can plan, like, maybe I want to send 2 people through this doorway, 2 people through this doorway. They'll meet in the middle and take everything out in between, which I understand the merits of that. And I think that is fine and fair. And, you know, it is what it is. However, I feel like it would be a little bit more interesting the other way, when it's like you get into that building and you don't know what's in there until you get in there. So I would
like
appreciate
have some
that.
fog of war or something.
Yeah, exactly. The fog of war idea, going back to like our DM talk from from earlier, I think that would go a long ways and also reduce the amount of waiting.
That's one of my favorite parts about DMing, especially on Foundry, is like I can hide things from the players. And so when they open a door, like what they're seeing is what they see for the first time. They don't know what's in there. And so the shock that I get to hear sometimes when they open the door and there's like a huge group of enemies, there's like, oh shit, what have we done? Like that's the kind of surprise that I would want for myself in a game that I'm playing.
Those things aside, I absolutely would recommend this one. I think Dead Season's really cool. The turn-based part of everything feels really good. I think that is enjoyable. If you like turn-based tactics, this is one that you're going to like. You know, there are a few things that could use a little bit of quality of life improvements, but overall, I think this is a pretty solid game. And out of the 2 zombie games, absolutely the one to invest in if you really want to play a zombie game this season.
And it came out on October 8th, so it's still relatively new as well. So there's room for patches.
Moving on from there, what games have you been playing when you have I don't see how
too many games.
How have you been playing other games when we've been playing all these other ones? And you spent 12 hours in the one, like how?
I don't have a child. It's so easy for me.
But you have a job.
Yeah, but some days are slower than others, especially when I'm working from home.
Fair.
Okay. The games I've been playing, I beat Wild Bastards like the day after we talked about it. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to finish this up. And it was a really fun experience. I enjoyed my time with it. There is some post-game content, some post-game challenges that let you unlock like different items and stuff that you can, unlock in the game. I don't know that I'll go back and do that again. I felt like the amount of time I spent with it to get through the story was enough for me. I was satisfied with it and I enjoyed my time. I would recommend it still. So I beat that one. Also, the week that we're recording this is Steam's October Next Fest.
Yeah.
And what Next Fest is a celebration of upcoming games. So there's like hundreds of demos to try out.
Oh my God.
I did not try out hundreds, but I did try out quite a few. So I'm going to start from the top because I think some of these will still be playable demos too, even though Next Fest will be over. Anton Blast I played, which is like a fast-paced, explosive action platformer with a focus on kind of destruction and running through things. It reminds me of, if you think about the game Boogerman, but like amped up to an 11. Just it's got that kind of like crudeness to it, that graphical style.
I love it.
God, what is that pizza one that came out recently? Like it's very reminiscent of that.
Pizza Tower.
Yes, Pizza Tower. So it's like that speed-wise, except you're destroying everything as you're running through it.
Cool.
That one, I think you can play like the first 2 levels of it, which I did, and it was really fun. AI Limit, if you're a Souls-like fan like myself, it's a post-apocalyptic like ARPG with Souls-like feel to it, similar to if anyone's ever played Code Vein, which I played through, which is like a vampire, like an anime vampire sort of Souls-like. So what they give you here is like the first level as well. So you can go to the first level, fight the first boss, and then after you do that, you can like challenge yourself to fight like one of the mid bosses. So they have this thing that opens up called like boss challenge mode. So that it levels you up to like level 100 or something and gives you like a bunch of different items that you can choose through so you can see what kind of stuff you like. And then it just kind of drops you in to fight this boss. That boss took me so long to beat, but it was so satisfying once I understood it, once I got the feel for it. Because I think this is a great idea because like when you play through a Souls-like game, especially for the first time, like the first level of it is really just your tutorial and it's a very basic one at that. So to also show you like, okay, This was pretty easy, relatively speaking. Now here's the mid game, like what you can expect difficulty wise. It's like, oh man, it really ramps up in the challenge, but also felt really good once I was able to figure it out. So definitely check out AI Limit if you're a fan of those types of games. VA Proxy, that one, it's another Souls-like with parry and movement focused combat, which sounds really good in theory, especially if you've watched a preview of it that has been going around where this guy literally parries a nuclear blast. Like that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
And it looks really fun, but the controller support is really like wonky. Like you can't even get into the game with a controller. Like you can move the menu stuff around, but you can't like push A or X or whatever or anything to make it actually go. You have to push E on the keyboard. And then at that point, you can go and play with a controller. But then if you try to go to the like start menu, you also have to press E to confirm things on the start menu. So it's like a really weird mix. I think obviously that's something they can fix. And this is just a demo, so that's a small gripe, but something to keep in mind if you're trying the demo out and you just can't figure out how to get into it. Just press E on the keyboard and it'll work. I think the problem I have with it so far is there's like no onboarding whatsoever.
Okay.
It throws you in and you don't know what's going on, what to do, what buttons to push, who to fight, because there's all these different things around. It's like, is this an enemy? Is it not? It's all really kind of like abstract. So you don't even know what is against you necessarily, or like that your attacks are even connecting in some cases. So it felt really floaty to me. Maybe it's something that will be really cool once I understand the actual mechanics of it. I just think that they really need to add some kind of onboarding process, some kind of tutorial mode, especially for the demo, because this is my first impression of it and it wasn't a great one. So check out that one and see what you think. But I'm telling you, like, you'll probably feel the same way I do. The next one I tried was Spirit X Strike or Spirit Strike, however you say those things.
Yeah, I feel like
this one,
no matter how you say it, you're probably wrong. Because I feel like someone's going to ridicule you for saying the X, and then someone else is going to make a Reddit post about you saying the X.
Well, yeah, and then it's also like it could be cross too. I've heard cross used in place of X, like Tekken Cross Street Fighter or something.
No matter what, someone's going to like make fun of us.
I know I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Just know that this is, I'm wrong. So anyway, Spirit Strike.
Maybe make the X with your arms. Just say Spirit.
Yes,
and then
that's what I'm doing.
And then
I'm doing it right now. Spirit Strike. I did it with my arms.
Okay, so that's the one. That sounded good.
Yeah, I did it. I got it right. Finally,
it felt good. I could feel that energy.
This one, third-person action-adventure game with a heavy focus on fist fighting, which is. It sounds ridiculous, and it is kind of ridiculous. It's if you think about the Batman Arkham games or even the more recent Spider-Man games, combat-wise, where you're kind of just jumping around from enemy to enemy, trying to chain combos together. It's like that, but you don't have gadgets. You're literally just fighting with your fist and your feet, and the enemies are much harder. So you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. Make sure you're countering the moves, like jump out of the way of the red ones. Block, get a perfect block on the yellow ones. It's that kind of thing. But once, like, it took me a little while to get through the first boss, but once I figured that out, that again was just so satisfying. It felt really good. It's a really cool combat system. I'm curious to see like really what else there is to it. The little demo it showed me after I finished the demo, I guess the trailer part of it, like it looked like there's some really interesting battles, and I think it's based on more, I guess, Chinese local sort of
like mythology and stuff.
I don't want to say legends, like mythologies in a way, but it's like it's a more modern take on that, but with some things from like Dynasty Warrior type stuff thrown into it. So so check that one out, see what you think of it. I really had a good time with it. A couple I tried today.
I'm so excited to hear about these. Yeah, these two are definitely on my list.
Yes, that one is Vampire Survivors, Bullet Heaven, I've heard it called, type of game, except you're a martial artist in an 80s movie setting, kind of stringing combos together on waves of thugs. Like the first level was a supermarket that you're in, if you think like classic Jackie Chan movies, it's kind of like those settings. And the graphics are actually really good, like better than Vampire Survivors graphics for sure, like more updated at least, more modern, I would say. And you're using like your fist, your feet, whatever else you can find, like brooms, bats, shopping carts, etc., as weapons. And those weapons are temporary; they'll break after a little while. You are also it gets a little bit more complex than something like Vampire Survivors because you're kind of connecting combos together as you level up. You can it's like, okay, do I want to get this uppercut punch or do I want to get this roundhouse kick? And then if it's this, there's blue ones and red ones, you're able to connect them together and then they'll do more damage if they're comboed together with other like moves. And it turns it into kind of a little combination of attacks that you're doing. I think there's a 5 slots in it. So it'll do those 5 attacks once you get them all, and then it will go on like a cooldown and then it'll do those 5 attacks again. You can reorder the order the attacks are in. You can power the attacks up more as you level up. So there's a lot more to it. I mean, I can't say there's a lot more to it. I know like Vampire Survivors has a lot to it as well, but as far as the combat goes, it's not just like pick stuff up and like, shoot everything around you. This one is a lot more close ranged. So you have to be a lot more mindful because you're definitely going to take damage if you're not careful, since you have to be kind of face to face with these guys for the most part. That one was really fun. You get to play the supermarket level of it. It's one of those, it finishes after 15 minutes. And I survived the 15 minutes, and then I was excited to play more, but unfortunately, that's where it locked me out after the demo was over. Oh. So I'll pick that one up for sure. And then the last one I tried was Knights in Tight Spaces, a roguelike, deck building, grid-based tactical RPG from the creators of Fights in Tight Spaces. This one is a fantasy version of that, if you're familiar with it. Heavily reliant on movement and unit placement. It's grid based in the sense that you're moving around. You're trying to position your unit so you can, like, I don't know, a tactical decision like, where can I move so I can kick the skeleton off this bridge or bash this thief's head into a wall or something like that. You're positioning yourself. You have these cards with you. I think in Tights and Fight Spaces, you can only be one character. In this one, you can have a party of characters, and you're all sharing the same deck.
He called it Tights and Fight Spaces.
Oh, did I? Fights and Tight Spaces.
I prefer I like Tights and Fight Spaces. That sounds great.
It's just so many. There's so many tight spaces in there. But I like this game a lot. Like, I didn't even finish this one because I knew that I would get like super invested in it if I tried to. I don't know how much the demo actually gives you. I did 2 or 3 levels of it, but it looks like the same kind of like roguelike decisions where you go down and you choose a path. And I just didn't want to spend all the time going down the whole path because I got enough of an idea of what I was getting myself into by what I did play. And that's one I'll 100% be picking up when it comes out.
Yeah, I love the look of that one too. Like, the art style is so cool. So I'm looking forward to that one coming out.
It's an interesting art style. It's almost like a hand-drawn kind of sketchy look to it.
Yeah.
But it gives you a really good impression of what's going on.
I didn't play any demos yet, but I have a list of ones that I wanted to do. And like, I haven't even gone through everything yet. These are just the ones that I looked at specifically this week and was like, I want to play these, and probably wouldn't even need to. It's like, these are the ones that I probably would want to buy. But just to name them off real quick. So The Rise of the Golden Idol. Obviously, I'm a huge Golden Idol fan, so another one of those. Yes. Keep Driving. Citizen Sleeper 2. Love the first Citizen Sleeper. Excited for the second one. The Stone of Madness. Supernatural. Neon Blood. And Tenebris Somnia. So Tenebris Somnia, I played a demo of it like a long time ago, like several months ago. And I'm assuming it's probably the same demo. That one's really cool in that it's a point and click horror game, but they put in these FMV cutscenes in between stuff. And those cutscenes are like, I don't know, like picturesque, like actual horror movie quality cutscenes. And real freaking scary, man. They're like really, really cool. So I think, Joseph, I know that you aren't a huge point and click fan, but if you were going to play one, check that one out, man. I think you would enjoy that.
I'm looking at the cutscenes from it, at least on the store page.
So
they look
good.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah.
So I might try this one.
I think you should. I think you would really enjoy that. As far as any other ones that are upcoming on our radar, our wish list, our play calendar, I know there's one specifically you've been calling out a lot, and it looks like it's finally coming out.
Yes, finally this week, when you're hearing this, Streets of Rogue 2 will finally be coming out. My procedurally generated sandbox RPG. I really enjoyed the first one. I know I'm going to have a lot of fun with this one. So can't wait to beat up the mayor or the president or whoever I need to fight this time.
The school principal.
Probably. And also some other ones coming out. Telebbit. I'm not sure that's how it's pronounced, but it's like, I think it's like a telepathic rabbit. And that's October 24th. It's a fast-paced action platformer where you play as a cybernetic rabbit that is bent on getting revenge on humanity. I guess they probably experimented on him or something. So you're a rabbit fighting against humans, it sounds like.
Nice.
Looks interesting.
Yeah.
And then the last one that I want to mention is Windblown, October 24th. This is early access, but it's a 1 to 3 player roguelike from the creators of Dead Cells Motion Twin. And enough said there. Like, if you like Dead Cells, you're probably going to really like this one. It's not a side-scrolling platformer like Dead Cells is. This one is more of a isometric view.
Yeah.
But you get to play as cute critters. Like I saw there was a bat, there was a lizard,
Heck yeah.
and axolotl or whatever. And even though this one's early access, the idea is it's to help players like craft a better final product by providing good feedback, much like what they did with Dead Cells. And I love that game. So I can't wait for this one.
Nice. I have, I only listed one game that's coming up that caught my attention. This is coming out on Halloween, the ultimate scary night for the scariest game. This is totally Spies Cyber Mission.
Why?
Dude, here's the thing. Don't hate on Totally Spies. That cartoon
Totally
was
Spies
great.
It was a great show.
It was a great show.
Why would they? I'm looking at the game. Why are they releasing this on Halloween?
I have
That's
no idea.
Very strange to me.
Why on Halloween? I have no idea. But the game does look kind of cute. I don't know that. Like, I don't think it's one that I'm gonna be like, oh, I can't wait to get my hands on it. But I am interested to see how it plays. It's a single player or it's a co-op where you play as the spies from the old show. You go on missions to infiltrate and investigate. So lots of puzzle solving, lots of stealth, all that kind of stuff. So something like silly, something fun. I just thought it was really interesting. I had no idea they were making this game. And then I saw it and I was like, I have to mention this right now.
Yeah, I had no idea, especially on Halloween.
Yeah, it is not a Halloween like themed game. So I don't know why they chose that. But in fact, if it's themed around anything, it seems to be themed around boba tea more than anything, the way they talk. So
I think there's a boba tea game coming out soon too.
Oh, maybe it'll play into it. Maybe the boba tea game maybe it's like a spiritual successor to this game. Who knows?
It's called Call of Boba. Whoa. It's a cozy pixel art adventure about saving a struggling boba tea shop.
Probably not related, but I like the sound of that, and that does sound like something I would check out, to be honest.
And you play as a cute penguin, so it's
I'm in.
It's a win-win.
I'll wish list that right now.
Actually, I'm going to wish list this too. Anyway, go on.
Few horror games if you want to play right now. These are just my recommendations for games that I've played in the past. I talked earlier about The Park. That is a fun one. It is a puzzle solving walking sim in a haunted theme park where you play a mother looking for a missing child. It is not for the faint of heart. I'm just going to let you know there's a little bit of a controversial ending there. So just, be prepared, but it's fun. It's pretty creepy. Among the Sleep, you play from the perspective of a small child trapped in a shadowy, twisted nightmare. That one's got a lot of really freaky stuff. There's some jump scares. It's pretty cool. And then the last one is Scanner Sombre. It's a walking sim, but you are stuck in complete darkness in an underground cave system using a LiDAR, which is a light detection and ranging device to map and visualize everything around you, which is really beautiful. It could be a really chill, relaxing game until you quickly realize you might not be the only thing down there, and then things start to ramp up a little bit. So those are some horror games you can play right now. They have been available on Steam for quite some time. So if you don't want to wait, you want to go grab something now, go do it. I can recommend all of those. They're great. If you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor. Please, please, please share it with someone who likes indie games, who loves indie games. As always, you can catch me playing some of the games we talked about on the show over at patreon.com/nerdsloth, where we have hundreds of hours of bonus content, including a bonus podcast for those at the $5 tier. But that's game over for us. My name's Chris.
I'm Joseph.
And we'll continue on the next episode.
Indie Game Arcade is recorded and produced by Sloth Creative. If you're looking for more gaming content, head over to youtube.com/nerdsloth. For additional podcasts, go to nerdsloth.com. If you'd like to support the show, there are multiple tiers available at patreon.com/nerdsloth, with hundreds of hours of bonus content from everything we do at Sloth Creative, including bonus gameplay videos of the games we talk about on the show. The theme music for the show is Retro Game Tapes by Audio Lime. If you'd like to get in touch with us, or if you're an indie game developer and would like us to consider reviewing your game, send us an email to podcasts@nerdsloth.com with the subject line Indie Game Arcade.